Hello and welcome to Stand with Campbell. I'm a mother first and evidently now I'm a host. My name is Kathleen Campbell and I appreciate you taking the time to come and listen to me speak today. For those of you who are new to this channel, I originally created it with the intention of expressing my opposition to curriculum changes that I feel as a parent I should have a say in. Many of those changes were made without an announcement by our state and our local governments, i.e. the school districts. And this has taken place across the nation. That lack of transparency is not only unacceptable, but it is a big part of the problem. What it comes down to is our rights to parent and to be included in the decision-making process regarding our children's education, whether it be intellectually or mentally, is now being denied to us. How very un-American that is. What's ironic about this is everyone is pro-inclusion as it relates to gender, race, religion, but clearly they are anti-inclusion when you don't agree with their sentiments, and then you present an opposition that is more in line with your own family's morals, values, and beliefs. You're not trying to project anything onto their families, but they are most certainly trying to project onto yours and tell you how you should parent and what you should do in terms of your own children. As parents, it's our job to make the decisions with our children, to guide them in their day-to-day decisions, as well as to assist them in selecting those electives that are appropriate to their personal growth and their path during their primary and secondary school years. So shouldn't we also be included in that decision making when it relates to other areas, particularly those that are not state mandated, or those that you as a parent know and believe that your child is not needed as an additional resource? Many of our districts and the Board of Educations, they're essentially telling parents, you need to mind your own business, you need to trust them and let them do their jobs. And I'm here to argue that because we are the stakeholders, we are the parents, we are the community members, we actually do get a say in what's taught in our public government schools. But we don't get a say when the districts fail to be transparent and to consult the community for their feedback on the curriculum that they plan to implement, which in my opinion is exactly what we had take place not only here in Rutherford, but across our state of New Jersey. So there is a district policy number 2210, which I will also include in the description. It's called Curriculum Development, and it states, the superintendent shall establish procedures for curriculum development that ensure the effective participation of teaching staff members, students as appropriate to their age and grade, parents, the community, members of the board, and the use of all available resources. Now, I might be wrong, but I don't recall seeing any email or snail mail asking me for my feedback. So if you happen to receive one, please let me know. If you happen to have a copy, I would love to see it. I'm very intrigued to see how the district reached out to us to get feedback and understand where the community might be in terms of what we need to have applied in our district and what maybe we could do without. We are the taxpayers. This is our money funding the school systems, and that's what people tend to forget. In fact, I believe a large percentage of parents in my community of Rutherford might have had no idea about most of the curriculum changes, if any at all. And they only learned of it when I took to the microphone in my very first Board of Education meeting this past September. And that's not only sad, but it's more so scary that nobody had any idea. And I confess, I was one of them who had no clue what was going on up until a few short months ago. So believe me, you are not alone. My hope here is that I can help educate other parents on the facts. I have done a tremendous amount of research. Every single day I am sitting at multiple computers researching and connecting with people, trying to further establish my knowledge on all the subject matter that I have issues with. I'm hoping that I can help parents work through my experiences and learn to find their own voice to start speaking up at the Board of Education meetings. just be prepared. You will be met with people who do not agree with you, who do not see your perspective, and that's their right, but it is also your right as well as mine to take to whatever platforms we choose to speak our truth, and I can assure you, I will continue to do exactly that. I intend to shed light on the topics that many parents unfortunately are clueless about, and I want to give them the fair opportunity to think about it for themselves, to educate themselves, and to make their own informed decisions. When I say clueless, I just want to make sure that everybody understands I'm not trying to insult them. In fact, it's not their fault that they don't know about these new curriculum changes. It's the government's fault. It's the school district's fault, because they weren't highlighting the changes. And if they're so positive and wonderful, well, why wouldn't you want to put a spotlight on them? It's something that I asked in the September Board of Education meeting that never was answered. Why did I have to dig through old Board of Education meeting minutes to find out what was taking place in my son's classrooms? That doesn't seem fair, doesn't seem proper, doesn't seem appropriate. Ultimately, parents need to use their own critical thinking skills when approaching these new curriculums. Unfortunately, that seems to be something that we're going away from in our schools and in society as a whole, because everything appears to be pushed to be group thought and group opinion. I don't know about you, but personally, I would rather be a lone researcher who takes the time to educate herself, who has an extensive list of consultants that I confer to. It's complete with licensed therapists, teachers, lawyers, and mothers who, quite frankly, make the most amazing detectives. And all these people together, they provide data rather than just take somebody's word for it and accept that. There's this new mentality of you must think this way, you must feel that way, you must comply. Well, I'm sorry, it's really no secret. I'm not one of those people who could just be told how to think and what to do. I'm very vocal about how I feel, and many people do not like that, but unfortunately, I cannot help you in how you deal and process that. I also believe that it's nobody's right to really force their opinions and beliefs on my child. But it appears that that's the society that we're starting to come to. So let's get to the topic of the day. We're going to be discussing the New Jersey Student Learning Standards that were revised on June 3rd, 2020, specifically in relation to the Comprehensive Health and Physical Education curriculum. I will put a link in the description to those standards, and I really encourage everybody in the state of New Jersey to familiarize yourself with the topics that are covered in it. I warn you, it is 66 pages long. So you're going to want to set some time aside, sit down, read it once, take notes, read it twice, and then go back to your districts with questions. This especially applies to those of you who have young children from kindergarten to, say, 6th grade. You're allowed to request to review the curriculum that your district has in place. Ask to see all the resources that they will be utilizing, any instructional materials, any web links, whatever it is that they have to educate your children. Demand to see. Curriculum and pacing maps are keywords that you can use in those requests. The districts know exactly what they are, and they will give them to you. By law, they are required to provide this, so don't let them tell you no. Know your rights. Stand up for them. It is essential in this battle to get as much knowledge as you possibly can to make your own informed decisions as it relates to your family. If you feel that the district is not being forthcoming and honest with you, do what I do. Submit a Freedom of Information Act, or an OPRA, which is the Open Public Records Act. I might do another video on that, on how to complete it, but today I just want to focus on the main topic. Our district has an Open Public Records Act request form directly on their website, which I will also include in the description. here are some that I've completed. Of course, I'm covering up the personal information that I don't want to share as it relates to my home and the actual request of what I'm looking for. But they're very easy to do. If you have questions, ask me, and I'm happy to help guide you. So before I begin, I want to make it explicitly clear to you parents who find some of the material objectionable for your children. You have the right to opt out of the family life education. There is a statute. It is 18A:35-4.7, which I'll include a link for that as well into the description for any parent who wants to copy it and attach it to your opt-out letter, which is what I did. It's called the Parent's Statement of Conflict. And I'm going to read to you what that says. Any child whose parent or guardian presents to the school principal a signed statement that any part of the instructions in health, family life education, or sex education is in conflict with his conscience or sincerely held moral or religious beliefs shall be excused from that portion of the course where such instruction is being given, and no penalties as to credit or graduation shall result therefrom. After your school principal receives the letter, parents, you'll go into the school and sit down with the district to go over any misconceptions that you might have about their program. You could discuss the areas that you are not comfortable with your child being instructed on, and they will remove that. A decision is going to then be made as to the type of instruction that your child will be given in lieu of those topics that you disagree with. It could be an extension of something that they've already learned in the class, or it can be an additional gym class. A little extra physical activity never hurt our kids these days. So I opted out back in September. In fact, I was told by Principal Joan Carrion that I was the very first parent to do so. And I know for a fact that other parents are beginning to follow my lead. Many of them were alerted to the curriculum changes from what I hear based on random Facebook posts that they saw on various town groups, which I am not a participant of. So if you happen to be one of the post creators or contributors that brought more light to this, thank you for doing that. Even those posts that were meant to be in opposition show that even bad publicity can be good publicity. That's exactly the exposure that we need to have right now. What I know is a common misconception is that people think that I'm not going to be having those discussions on sexuality with my child, when it's really the exact opposite. We've already begun to have those conversations. I've worked with friends of mine who are teachers, who are licensed therapists, and I've even spoken to other parents to try to develop tools that work best for my family on how to approach and carry out those conversations. So just because I don't want adults who, I don't know, outside of a photo from my son's yearbook, teaching him aspects of sexuality, it doesn't mean that my son is completely unaware. We're just taking it at a pace that we find comfortable for him and more in line with his level of maturity. What I did is what I pretty much believe that parents are supposed to do, or it's what I always thought we were supposed to do, at least. I know that there are parents who do not have the means to take the steps that I have taken, and or they're not comfortable having those conversations. And if you don't have the means, or if you don't want to have those conversations, then you don't have to opt your child out. But I would still suggest, as does many of the professionals that I speak with on school curriculums as a whole, that you still go talk to your children about what's being taught to them in their classrooms. Ignorance is no excuse when something goes wrong, especially when it concerns our children. So just make sure that they are still in line with your own morals, values, and beliefs. No one is judging you because you're going to choose to utilize the instruction of the school. Some parents don't want to take on those hard or uncomfortable conversations with their kids, and it's their parental right. Parental rights is something that I strongly believe in, and if you don't know that, then this really must be your first video. But I want to be the one who's going to have those conversations, because the sooner that we get comfortable tackling those difficult or uncomfortable topics, the sooner that I believe it will get easier to continue to have them as my son gets older. The more you show your children it's a safe place and they can come to you, trust you, the stronger your bond and your relationship will be. And hopefully that will continue to create a strong family bond and a strong family unit. To me, that's paramount. That's the kind of relationship that I want to have with my son, where he knows he can come to me no matter what, no questions asked, where he knows I'm not going to judge him. I don't want to give that power to strangers to educate my son on very sensitive topics that can abuse it or that can manipulate it. To me, it's a privilege to be a parent. And that's what I signed up for when I made that decision to become a mother and to put another living being's growth and develop in my hands. So everybody has their own reason for becoming a parent, but mine was out of the excitement of being able to raise a child with the values that I was raised with and hopefully improve upon what I learned as a child from my parents and maybe do a little bit better. So on to the curriculum. My introduction was actually probably longer than what the portion of the actual curriculum is, so I apologize for that. But here we go. So from the period of kindergarten to second grade, children in the state of New Jersey, they need to be able to list accurate names for body parts, including genitals. Some people might be okay with their children knowing words such as vulva, labia, vagina, penis, and testicles, but I can assure you there is a large majority that feels that that's kind of better suited for the older children. Next, they're supposed to be able to define reproduction. I do not know how our district will be approaching this, so again, this is something that you will want to review to ensure you feel it's age appropriate for your children. Number 3, discuss the range of ways people express their gender and how gender role stereotypes may limit behavior. Now, I've spoken to many parents, and of course, as we know, the majority of those who I associate with are a little bit more conservative minded. But the fear is that introducing this topic at such a young age can actually lead to more confusion in children. Instead of focusing on what should be the gender stereotypes, maybe the focus should be more on gender equality. But that's just my point of view. This is something that you as a family unit will need to review for yourselves and make your own decisions. You can only do this by asking the district for the resources used in their curriculum to make your own assessments. Not everyone's going to agree with this, but just because people are attempting to make it seem as if this is a positive thing and they are the ones who are being most vocal about it, it doesn't invalidate the feelings and the beliefs of those who actually disagree with this type of curriculum. You have a voice, use it. Do not let anyone intimidate you and make you go away. That's what they want, but no offense, my child is more important to me than other people's opinions and acceptance. And I hope that others feel the same way as I do. So I reviewed the curriculum from our district in comparison to the standards. And these are just a few of the topics that stand out to me. Again, there's many more topics of discussion in terms of the comprehensive health and physical education, but you need to go and review the standards and curriculum to get a full understanding of those instructional topics. Some include health, nutrition, exercise, and most really aren't concerning at all. I'm just highlighting those that parents have told me that they have concerns about. So here in Rutherford school systems, in our kindergarten class, they will begin identifying body parts in relation to function and wellness. That's what our curriculum pacing map states. What I found intriguing about that was they did not mention genitalia in that description on the pacing guide, but it is a state mandate and standard, so it must be there somewhere. Whether it's in kindergarten, first, or second grade, it's in there somewhere. Personal well-being and feelings. Now, this portion, it bothers me in the sense of the feelings aspect. I don't trust teachers who are not licensed therapists to discuss feelings with my child. That's a personal thing for me, and not everybody has an issue with that. I do know some parents who have issues with teachers asking what would be personal questions that obviously might have upset their child, and there was really no proper follow through. So you just need to see the instruction from the school and learn how this is addressed in terms of the feelings aspect. Get your own feel for it, make a decision. Gender differences, physical characteristics. I don't have a problem with this, but some parents actually do have objections because they're not quite certain as to what those physical characteristics are in terms of how they're going to be expressed or explained to the children. But like I said, get those resources from the school. Maternal health in relation to a healthy baby. I'm really not sure why this is discussed at such a young age, but again, I haven't personally reviewed the resources, so I can't speak too far on that. This last one, though, does not make me comfortable. Sexual abuse and assault awareness and prevention education. In layman's terms, that means children must be explained what sex is as early as kindergarten. So check those school resources and see how they do it and if you agree with it for your child or children. You know, assault awareness, prevention, I don't have an issue with that per se, but I don't really know how it's carried out, like I've said before. The sexual abuse, though, like I said, they have to know what sex is to know what sexual abuse is. It just doesn't seem appropriate for kindergarten, first or second graders to know that, but I know that there are plenty of people who think that that's completely acceptable. If that's you, I respect your decisions. That's not me. Okay. Now we are going to move on a little bit into third grade. It's a continued extension, the emotional, social health, sexual abuse again. They echo that sentiment again. They also bring in instruction on gang violence prevention. That's a new one. I don't really know anything about it, but I'm going to look into it. And if I feel like it's necessary to create another video, I will. I think it's really just supposed to guide children on avoiding joining gangs, which I can't see that being a bad thing. I don't believe that's an issue here in Rutherford, but it is an issue throughout the state. And I don't really have an objection to it. Others might, I don't. Fourth grade, emotional health, social health, mental health. Again, they're echoing those sentiments. Fifth grade, human development and sexuality, relationships, intercourse, reproduction, pregnancy, abstinence, and consent, which what I find interesting is abstinence comes well after development and sexuality, intercourse. Like those seem to be, let's focus on this first, then talk about abstinence. Abstinence should be the one thing that I feel we should be promoting more. But like I said, I haven't reviewed those resources and I don't really know how that works in terms of educating the children. So maybe I'm just jumping the gun on that one. Here again, sexual abuse and awareness is brought back up. Sixth grade, mental health, consent, meaning sexual consent, breast exams, sexual abuse again. Really, it comes up to the individual households as to what you're comfortable with and what you want your children to be exposed to. I would like my son to retain a little bit of innocence for as long as we possibly can. And I don't see that as a bad thing. Once you get to a certain point, that innocence is gone. Once that innocence is gone, you can't get it back. So why wouldn't I want to preserve that for my son? I don't know. There are people out there who don't agree with that. And like I've said before, that's your right. So I'm going to stop there. I might do a follow-up video for grades 8 through 12. I've actually not taken the time to peruse the curriculum yet because it really doesn't pertain to me at this moment. So I can't speak intelligently on it at this time. But the moral of the story here is you cannot put blind faith into your school systems. You must educate yourself to prepare for those topics that your children come home and they start asking you some questions about, and you don't want to be caught off guard asking, where the heck did they learn this? How did they learn it? You know, at that point, once they learn it, you can't go back. There's no way to intercept it. So no matter what, it's your choice to make the determination of what you feel is inappropriate for your young children. It's a personal choice. So I just want to arm those of you who have concerns about these new curriculums with the facts the very best that I can. No one helped me, with exception to somebody showing me that this happened, and I just kind of ran with it. So again, I thank all of you for tuning in and taking the time to listen to me, even if it was a little bit of a ramble. If anyone has questions or needs some guidance, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help you if I can. If I can't, I do have a wonderful list of resources of people everywhere that maybe I can put you in touch with if I'm not able to help you personally. I'm really overwhelmed by the positive response that I've seen so far in terms of bringing attention to the curriculum and parents from my district reaching out. That makes me proud to know that I'm helping other parents who are a little bit like-minded and that believe that these topics, they're inappropriately placed into our classrooms. So I hope you found this useful. I intend on making more videos like this to help educate fellow parents, help them keep abreast of what's going on. If our districts won't be transparent, then we need to work together to make sure that everyone knows what their children will be learning. Because again, what the kids learn in this community affects the community as a whole. And it is a reflection on us as individuals, as parents, and as a community. And that is something that I take very seriously. So with that, thank you for joining me. If you have any questions, like I said, reach out. I will be more than happy to help you. I will include all of the links that I possibly can for you to access yourself. And we'll go from there, everybody. So good luck with your research. I hope that you found some kind of information helpful in this little session today. And until next time, be well.